What's up, Knicks fans? We are back again for another season with our friends at FANATICS Sportsbook. And of course, that means we're talking about FANCASH. Now, most sportsbooks, their rewards are just fluff, but FANCASH is the ultimate sports currency. You see, when you bet with FANATICS Sportsbook, you get up to 10% FANCASH back on your wagers, win or lose. And did I mention that they're giving away millions in FANCASH this year, and you can use that FANCASH on anything in the FANATICS universe? Go check it out for yourself and download the app today. FANATICS Sportsbook. Winning hits different here.
Welcome to the Knicks Film School Postgame Show presented by FANATICS Sportsbook. It is your boy, Jonathan Macri, with you on a lovely Monday evening as we are here to talk about a fun game, a game that was at times very impressive. A game that started not terribly impressive, but that certainly got better as it went on. And I think a game that continued or allowed us to continue to learn more about this basketball team and more about some of the key players on it. Final score here, New York Knicks 119, Washington Wizards 102. Before I continue, quick reminder, go ahead and give your boys at Knicks Film School a follow on all of your social media accounts at Knicks Film School, SKOOL. We are doing all kinds of fun stuff on the socials. So, I mean, where do you think I'm going to start tonight? Really? Seriously, where am I going to start? We're going to start with Josh Hart. Very nice Josh Hart game. We're going to give Josh Hart a lot of love tonight. Don't worry about that. Start with Mike Brown, maybe. They're continuing to embrace the offense. It's looking good. A lot of the spray threes. Knicks are probably gonna stick around in the top 5 of 3-point attempts per game after this game, even though they had only 41 attempts. Only 41 attempts. It's crazy that I have to say only, but I do have to say only. The way they've been putting them up from deep. Hit 36.6% of those. That number, the percentage make rate is coming up. You think we're going to start with Jordan Clarkson? Nice Jordan Clarkson game off the bench. OG Anunoby, great defensive performance. Yeah, we'll get to all that stuff. We'll get to all that stuff. You know where we're going to start. We're going to start with my guy who I love so much and who only brings me joy. Never brings me anything other than joy. And his name is Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, listen, I could go in one of two directions here to start this one off. I could be the bigger man, and I could admit when I maybe got, I don't know, a little in my feelings for an early season game that I did not care for. Or I could go in a different direction, and I could say, well, before I say what direction I could go in, I'll tell you what direction I'm not going to go in. I'm not going to go in a direction of, well, this is a Wizards game in early November, so it doesn't matter. No. I said before the game, as I shout out to everybody in chatnix.com, our really fun Knicks group chat that is now, I think, like 320 members strong. I said in there before the game, like, I'm nervous about tonight. Somebody tell me why I'm nervous about tonight. And I answered my own question because I realized it's because there are, like somebody said, oh, it's a trap game. There are no trap games this early in the season. Everybody's playing hard. Doesn't matter whether a team's good, bad, or ugly. Unless you're the Pelicans. Everybody's playing hard. Everybody's going out there, putting their best foot forward. It's that early in the season. And, the Knicks haven't proven enough to be able to go out there and not take anyone seriously. Because they've had ups and downs and things. So the fact that this was a game against the Wizards, who have a win and have played some teams tough, here and there. And clearly, I think you saw it tonight. They got some talent on the roster. The starting five's playing well together. I'm not going in that direction, that it's the Wizards. No, if anything, if I was going to take, the coward's way out, I would say, well, 33 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 12 of 24 from the field. Has one play where he backs down Alex Sarr into the basket like he's Shaquille O'Neal sending Rick Smits into retirement after the 2000 NBA Finals. Where is that every game? We got it tonight. Where is it every game? What if he's capable of that on a Monday in November? Why isn't he capable of that on a Thursday in April or a Saturday in May? And I think it's a fair question. And I think it's a fair question, not only based off of this game, compared against some of the games that Karl-Anthony Towns has played already this year, but just based on his career. I mean, he's a guy who has proven that he is maybe not the most consistent guy in the world. So I think that would be a fair way to start off. But I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to praise Karl-Anthony Towns uniformly and without reservation. Because I think when you zoom out and you look at the larger picture here of this season, and you consider, okay, new coach who is unlike last year when Karl-Anthony Towns was asked to only play one position, pretty much, for all intents and purposes. He was asked to play the 5. Now we got a new coach asking Karl-Anthony Towns to embrace playing the 5 sometimes, embrace playing the 4 sometimes. And when he's playing the 4, there is a lot more involved in that role, in that job, than just playing the 5, because the way Mike Brown's offense works, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't matter what you are. You have all of these different responsibilities. So being asked to do a lot, and more than that, you got 2 All-NBA players on this basketball team. One of those All-NBA players, as we saw tonight, wasn't Jalen Brunson's night, but it was a reminder that, like, Jalen Brunson, he gets the carte blanche. He gets to dribble drive and penetrate and hang on to the ball and, like, kind of go rogue every now and then because he's Jalen Brunson. And Mike Brown knows where his bread is buttered and knows he has one of the, 5 or 6 or 7 most gifted offensive players in the league on his team. So then that's one All-NBA player. You got the other All-NBA player, though. Oh, no. Well, no, you have to kind of get in line, and you have to play your role, and you have to embrace that role, and you have to embrace that role even if your numbers may not be there after some games. And after 5 games, Karl-Anthony Towns, or 6 games, I should say, Karl-Anthony Towns' numbers were largely not there, at least not in comparison to where we've seen in years past. So again, if we are zooming out and we're looking at things from Cat's perspective and the role that he knows he needs to embrace and be successful in for this team to do well and reach its ceiling, it is an adjustment. And he also, he could say what he wants. I do think he hears the noise from people like me who doubt whether he has the wherewithal to make that adjustment, whether he has the desire to make that adjustment. And I definitely think it's been weighing on him. I think it's been weighing on him since camp. And it ultimately, for me, came down tonight to seeing a guy in this offense being asked to do what Mike Brown is asking him to do, simply going out there and being dominant in this new role with this new job that he has on this team, and doing so on a night when his team was down by 10 in the first quarter and they needed him to come up big in the second quarter, because this was a game. They were down by 10. This was absolutely a game. And then the second quarter started out, and Brunson didn't have it tonight. And it was Deuce, Jordan Clarkson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl-Anthony Towns. And for a little while there, Karl-Anthony Towns put the team on his back. He was the best offensive player on the team. He was, for a stretch, probably the best defensive player on the team, although we're going to get to a guy who pretty clearly won that belt tonight in a bit. And he looked the part. That's the thing. When he put Alex Sarr in the basket, there was a part of me that's like, man, I know Alex Sarr is not the biggest of guys, and I know he is a second-year player, and I know he's not old enough to drink, but he's also not, a featherweight out there. And I know that some of the guys that Karl-Anthony Towns has struggled with in the past are smaller than Alex Sarr. So for him to have had some challenges with some other matchups already this season and obviously in the past, again, is Alex Sarr the best, best defender in the league? No, not quite. But you saw Cat take it personal, and when something means a lot to Cat, and you could tell watching tonight that something about this matchup, something about this game, it clicked for him, where he's like, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to remind everybody exactly what it is that I'm capable of. But again, he did it within the confines of this offense. And I thought Benji Ritholtz put out a great clip during the game of Towns Brunson 2-man game. There were a couple of really nice possessions where Brunson and Towns were operating in the 2-man game. Some of it was maybe traditional pick and roll. Some of it was not traditional pick and roll. So I love the fact that it's a mix. That's part of what Cat needs to do to be successful in this offense. But more than anything, he just needs to move. He just needs to play with pace. He needs to shoot the ball when he has an opportunity to shoot the ball. And it was not a surprise that this game started off with Karl-Anthony Towns hitting multiple threes in the first several minutes of the game. That is part of what he needs to do. So the fact that he is being asked to adjust, and the adjustment has come slowly, and then tonight we saw him be successful with the adjustment in a big way, in a game where the Knicks were down again 10 points early, and they needed him to do it. Guy gets all the credit in the world from me. Does he need to keep it up? Does he need to continue to be consistent? Does he need to prove to me that he can continue to do it? And on games where he maybe doesn't have it, he could still impact winning in a big way? Yeah, he still needs to prove that to me. Tonight's not going to make me all of a sudden change my overall stance on him. I still have my doubts. That's going to take more. And I'm fine to sit here and admit that. And I'll be labeled and branded a hater if that's what it comes to, because I am going to make this player fully earn my trust moving forward. But you can only do what is being asked of you in the moment. And tonight, Karl-Anthony Towns needed to go out there and be the best player on the basketball court. And he was that. And I do not think it was particularly close. He was awesome. He was incredible. And he reminded everybody he was capable of, and that he did it in this role, in this offense. It was a needed sight, I think, because you never know. You just never know until you see it. And the fact that we were reminded tonight, oh yeah, that's pretty good basketball. It was great to see. So we got to start with Cat. Hats off to him. And now we move on to a couple other things. So I thought tonight, just to zoom out again for the game as a whole, this was clearly the second night of a back-to-back. They defended out of the gate like it was the second night of a back-to-back. You saw that Washington, I could not believe this, shot 72% from the field in the first quarter. The fact that the Knicks were only down by 8 after 1, I thought was a testament to their work on the boards. They did really good work on the offensive glass in particular. And then we got to the second quarter, and I mentioned that lineup that was really successful. Cat had a really high post pass. He had the big dunk. The thing that I loved about the second quarter, and that is probably my second biggest takeaway from this game, is their defensive intensity. It was a steady climb up and up and up and up and up, like getting to the top of a roller coaster. And it kept amping up and amping up and amping up. And there was a point where the Wizards, who had scored 30 points in the first quarter, there was like 3 minutes left in the second quarter, and they had 10 points in the second quarter. Now, at that point, the Knicks completely and totally let their guard down, and the Wizards scored a bunch of points in the last several minutes of the second quarter. Thankfully, who was there to rescue their ass before halftime? Karl-Anthony Towns with a massive 4-point play going into the half. But I did really like what I saw from the Knicks in the second quarter defensively. Again, I know it's the Wizards. I know the Wizards are not a good basketball team, period. Offensive, defensive, anything. But the level of defense that I saw from the Knicks during that stretch, and not just from their best defenders, one of which was out tonight, we should say. Mitchell Robinson didn't play in this game. But from guys like Jordan Clarkson and like Jalen Brunson. And honestly, I like, dare I say, I think Yabusele had like a moment or two defensively. I don't know if that's sacrilegious to say that. But yeah, I thought that was really good, and I really thought it was where the game changed. And then, of course, the third quarter, after starting off a little sloppy, boom, 17-0 run. Knicks go up by 20. Eventually, they go up by 27. You got Josh Hart out there hitting threes, and we could all go home very happy, and I could enjoy a glass of wine. So, nice win, 4-0 at home. We could sing some other individual praises. OG Anunoby with a 5-steal game, ended with 16 points, 6 rebounds, 5 steals, couple assists. That was probably and I didn't even think he started out great on the defensive end in this game. I thought he kind of eased into the game defensively, like the rest of his teammates. But like certainly for the vast majority of the game, I would say this was probably the best individual defensive game that any Knick has played this season. Spectacular defensive effort from OG Anunoby. Anytime he was anywhere near the ball, it was a problem for the Washington Wizards. So really nice stuff for him. Landry Shamet, I took Shamet and Towns in a parlay, both of them over points. Shout out to our friends at FANATICS Sportsbook. Shamet had me sweating it out. He had 3 great looks from 3, missed all 3 of them, and he finally drained a couple in the end there, which was more than enough. I mentioned Brunson. Brunson was a little off tonight. You heard Mike Breen saying it. You know what? Look, a lot of people think that I make mountains out of molehills with Karl-Anthony Towns. So why shouldn't I sit here and be more critical of Jalen Brunson for having a 6 of 17 night and maybe forcing the ball a little bit? It's a fair question to ask, especially when you look at Brunson. What matchups does he tend to take personally sometime and maybe go into a little bit too much of a one-on-one mode? When teams try to put length on him, because he knows that teams try to do that to bother him. And I do think he takes it personally. And I do think he tries to get a little bit in his bag during some of those moments. Did he do that tonight? Yeah, I kind of think he did. You also heard Chris Gent say at the half, the assistant coach Chris Gent say at the half, like, you know, they're putting 2 on the ball a lot. They are making sure number 11 doesn't beat them. You know, and that puts a guy like Jalen Brunson in a tough position to defend him a little bit, because if you're Jalen Brunson, you can't just go out there and not shoot it at all. Yeah, I'm sure some people would say, well, no, that's exactly what you should do. If they're putting all the attention on you, pass the ball. And I thought he passed it pretty good tonight. He had 9 assists, 2 turnovers, so he passed it certainly. You know, but I always am going to defer to the great scorer who is looking like he's maybe forcing it a little bit. I didn't think it was too much tonight. If you want to say it was too much, that's fine. But Jalen Brunson's been fucking awesome this season, so I'm not about to get on him for an off night tonight. Josh Hart, second straight, really good game off the bench, had 12 and 10 and 5 assists. Just, I don't know, man. That's 2 straight games. How many games in a row like this do we need from Josh Hart for us to be like, he's figured out how to play with this situation, with the fingers and the nerves and the back and the this and the that? Like, for 96 straight minutes, he's looked like Josh Hart to me. And it was a reminder that when Josh Hart goes out there and plays like Josh Hart, he helps your basketball team win basketball games. I know he hit some threes tonight. That's great. And the fact that he's shooting threes and he made a few threes, I love that. That's wonderful. That's not the most important thing for me for Josh Hart. The most important thing for me to Josh Hart is he is moving around the court on the offensive end, and he is cutting, and he is driving, and he is being aggressive and smart, which did not happen nearly enough last year, when it felt like once defenses changed how they covered him, it's almost like he forgot who he was for like games at a time. And I don't know what the hell. I don't know what that. It wasn't just him. It was that whole lineup was something was up with them last year. But he's been looking good now, and he just goes to show that you could have a non-floor spacer on the court and still run extraordinarily successful offense. So long live Josh Hart. Clarkson, great game. Nice offensive punch. 5 of 8 from the field. I thought he defended his butt off in the second quarter, and also had probably the funniest Knick possession that I have ever seen, where he attempted very hard to turn the ball over, didn't do it the first time, got it back, and then managed to somehow upend or one up himself and throw an even worse pass and succeed finally turning the ball over. Hysterical possession from Jordan Clarkson. But overall, he played a great game, and I thought he played well. Deuce only 14 minutes, but I thought there were a good 14 minutes. I think it was more just that there were some other lineups that were rolling, and Mike Brown went with them, and that's fine. With Mitch out, Yabu got his 14 minutes. So, but 9-man rotation, a little tighter now. At the same time, nobody played more than 32 minutes tonight. So you like to see that. That's important. Blowout against a bad team, nobody should be playing more than 32 minutes on the second night of a back-to-back. And now the Knicks have a day off, and they have another home game on Wednesday against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards, I will note, did not play tonight. It didn't matter because Minnesota played the Nets, and the Nets are not a real basketball team, and they won by a bunch of points, even though they didn't play particularly well. So we'll see. Do the Knicks get lucky on Wednesday and maybe they miss Ant Edwards? I'm sure something tells me if he could walk, he's going to suit up at the Garden. That's my guess. That's my guess. And obviously we will still be welcoming back old friends, Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, but that's an important game. You want to try to continue to string together the wins. You want to defend home court, the whole thing. And then you get some time off. It'd be great to go into that time off with 3 straight wins and with a record of 5-3, but got to go out there and you earn it. I thought they earned it tonight. I thought this was a really good, solid showing from a Knicks team that, the losing streak, I think, was a reminder after a nice start to the season. The losing streak was a reminder that we should not take anything this year for granted, especially early on. There's a growth process. This is a learning process. This is, it's still an adjustment, but you love the signs that you're seeing. You really do. You love the signs that you're seeing, and you just, again, development's not linear, but I think feels like things are moving in the right direction, which is really good. And another 30 assist night, I should say, and a couple things here. Mike Brown saying Josh Hart, tonight's defensive player of the game. That's a tough one to give to anybody other than OG Anunoby, but OG Anunoby, I think, has been winning this a lot lately with the Tims and the hard hat. But no, Hart was really good defensively. Brown praised the defensive effort in the second quarter, unsurprisingly. So yeah, good stuff here. All right.
Must be 21 or over. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777. Massachusetts, call 800-327-5050. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Maryland, visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Not available in all states. Terms apply. See Fanatics Sportsbook app.